So I thought I would talk a little bit more about the situation in Ukraine. Ukraine, 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 it's the plane. All this stuff going on. It's kind of interesting, really. It's like the theater of the absurd, you know. You have to just take it with a grain of salt, basically. Take it from a shaman's point of view. It's comical, but there's some new intel out today about this Prigozhin, Wagner debacle, or whatever you want to call it. Theater of the absurd, or just plain theater. Could be just theater. Could be magnificent theater on the part of Putin and the Russian government. Now the new spin today, or not the new spin, but some of the new intel from other CIA people that I tend to put more weight with their thing, their narrative, their take. This whole thing could have been a fantastic theater put on by Prigozhin and Putin and the high military brass. Now, in my last video, I said something about I didn't think that the West, I think they jumped on the bandwagon when they heard this all happening and said, yeah, we knew about this beforehand, and so forth and so on. Well, if they did know about it beforehand, I'm thinking they didn't, but let's say they did. Then this fits into the new narrative or the new spin or the new intel that I got today, and that would be that Prigozhin actually made a deal, or he actually met with the opposition. He met with some of the Ukrainian top brass and maybe even some CIA people, and he even admitted this. This is not new. This is not anything new, any kind of news that is breaking. This happened a long time ago. And so there was raised eyebrows back then about that. What's a guy that is the head of Wagner doing talking to? But that, again, the top military brass in Russia knew about this. They didn't seem concerned. Why would that be? Well, it could very well be that he made a deal. He's a double agent. Prigozhin has played the role of a double agent for a while. Sucked the West into thinking that he was going to do a major coup and that all kinds of people are behind him. And he actually telegraphed this or let this be made known through channels that he was going to do this. And, of course, the West bought into it hook, line, and sinker. Zzz, you know, hooked right in there. They bought it because that's what they want to believe, that Russia's weak and it's going to fall. Putin's weak and blah, on and on and on ad nauseum, okay? So he played the role Prigozhin did of a double agent, and they figured, you know, if they did know ahead of time, well, then that's the score right there. They knew nothing. They thought they knew ahead of time. And what was really hilarious is that the mainstream media in the United States of America got all excited, man. You know how they jump on bandwagons. You know how they, oh yeah, this is happening. Putin's following, the government's weak. I mean, they were really ramping it up, and then what? A few hours later, it was all gone. It was all gone. And so this could have been just a giant bluff, a giant game by the powers to be in Russia to get people excited and to draw people out as well, to draw people out and see who really, you know, how the West would really take an internal conflict in Russia. Would they champion it? Or, well, of course they would. So there's no doubt about that. And then, you know, there's other talk that this, you know, there could have been other motives for just testing the inner security. Okay, so it was a test of the inner security of Russia in a way, because nobody jumped on the bandwagon with Prigozhin from the military units in Russia, or let's say the commanding general, or certain battalions spread all over the place. Nobody took sides with Wagner, okay, and nobody, like I said in my last video, it was a complete failure if it was a coup. And there was no objective with the coup either. That's how you can tell a real coup from a fake coup. Coup. Is because whenever you're having a coup, you have an agenda, you have a goal, you have motivation, you have a plan, you have a philosophy as to why you're doing this. Okay? There was no philosophy. It was just a spur of the moment. Wagner boys blowing off steam. It accomplished all kinds of things. Strengthened the support of the Russian people. We overcame, an internal conflict. So, as the days go on, as the days roll by, you get different narratives and different takes and different spins. But is anybody really going to know the truth? You have to admit, though, if this was Stalin, okay, and something like that happened, this guy Prigozhin would be hung with piano wire or eliminated in the public square as to be made an example. But none of that stuff happened here. Prigozhin is off in Belarus now. He's enjoying a nice lifestyle, supposedly, and maybe just chilling out a little bit. And his group Wagner group has been assimilated into the military department, the Russian military. And they're going to be given nice contracts, and there is no animosity, and everybody's forgiven. So, the drift, that's the drift. That's the new intel. The new intel is that this, and I kind of thought that from the very beginning, that it could all be a game. Especially, when they let it go on so long with Prigozhin complaining, it was like a build-up. It was like a setup. They set the West up to think that they had some kind of inroads with Prigozhin. And he may have even made them promises or even given them intel like troop movements and stuff like that, except, as was pointed out, troop movements wouldn't matter because they know all this stuff anyway. They know troop movements from like satellite imagery and people on the ground, all that kind of stuff. AWACS, aircraft flying through the sky, which are just giant radar and listening devices and spotting devices and camera devices and everything like that. They got all that stuff going. Both sides do. So, even if Prigozhin made some kind of deal where he said, yeah, we got some troops moving over here, it wouldn't have been a big deal with the Russian brass. They might have said, hey, tell them something that they'll get all excited about and buy into and believe and that type of thing. But it doesn't really matter because this shit's behind us now. And whatever the goal was, I'm sure was accomplished by, if it was a grandiose theater, well then I'm sure that whatever the goal was accomplished by Russia, whatever plan they had, for this thing. I'm sure was accomplished, okay? Now that it's accomplished, now that they did what they wanted to do, then we'll have to see what happens next. And supposedly there's going to be a speech tonight by Putin to the Russian people, and this is what, today's Tuesday? Yeah. So he's going to reveal something, and it'll probably be just an ongoing. I don't imagine there's going to be any revelations that are going to be too earth-shattering. Maybe just further clarification and stuff like that. Some people are speculating that he's going to let Shoigu go, the Minister of Defense, or maybe make some changes in the situation regarding the top brass, the pencil-pushing geeks, whatever. But it could be something entirely different. It could be an announcement of ramping up the war, or changing it from a special military operation to a warfare footing, or whatever. You never can tell what's going to come with Putin. Okay, he's a master of deception. He's a master of deception in a good way, in a warfare way, in a way of. And see, Sun Tzu's Art of War always said that war is just deception. It's, on some level, it's just a massive deception, all right? If deception is used, then usually the people that are best at it will prevail, okay? So it's going to be interesting to see what's coming up here in the coming week, okay? This week should be very telling in a lot of ways. I want the war over with. I'm not a warmonger. I like to watch this stuff, like I said before, from a shaman's point of view and from a strategist's point, from all points of views. Just a reflection of the consciousness of the world, that I see what's going on here, see which way the wind's blowing here, listening to the wind. So it's always good to follow this stuff. Just for me, I follow it almost like a movie, okay? Like I'm watching a movie on Prime Amazon or something about the war and the CIA and spy versus spy and all that stuff. Do I have a stake in it? I mean, do I take a side? Well, the way things are looking, of course I would take any side that brings down the prideful, America is exceptional and we can do anything we want. And, I mean, the criminals are really over here. They're not over there, except for the ones in Ukraine, the Nazis and Zelensky and those people. Of course, they're all in bed together with the West. I mean, it's obvious, in the NATO and all that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see all that stuff collapse, okay? And in order to have a new beginning, you have to have an ending, right? So let's end this war. I'm for getting the war over. Now, having said that, war is horrific. I mean, I saw a video yesterday from the front. Not too many people. It was on RT, but you had to click and manipulate and get to it. When I say RT, I say Russia Today, which is the only news channel that is even close to telling the real story, and they don't even tell it. But there was a video of a drone, and it was taken, I think, by a Ukrainian citizen, but not anybody that took any sides. Somebody that had the money to have a drone of that nature, and some businessman or something took a picture, or had a picture from a drone of these guys caught in the middle of this big field of, I don't know, what do they call it, pampa grass or something, that long silky grass. And in this grass there were spots of mud where mines have gone. These guys were basically trapped in a minefield, and the tank was nearby, and it was horrific. Because every which way they moved one way and they put their hand down, they'd get their hand blown off. Or it was a pretty gruesome video. They were stuck, and if they moved, then a tank tried to move in, help them, and this guy hopped off the tank into what he thought was a muddy area where had already exploded, and he landed right on a mine that blew his leg off. I mean, and he's sitting there trying to put a tourniquet on. I mean, this war is, I felt sorry for that person because most of the conscripts from Ukraine are being forced out there by their tyrannical society or their government, taking them right off the street, kids even. So I have a real heartfelt emotion for anybody that is going through any kind of a horrific thing like that. Okay, I don't like war. But you have to ask yourself what pushed this war, what started this war, who were the instigators. Okay, instigators, It's a pretty dark term. Well, we know who the instigators are. If you follow the history of this whole thing way back to 2014 and everything, you find out that it's the West instigated this whole thing. Russia went to war because they were backed into a corner on a security level. Now, since it's already started and it's already in progress, and there have been wars from the beginning to probably the end, they're obliged to finish it, in my opinion, quickly and kick ass, take names, do what you got to do, and get this over with. Don't let it drag on. Because again, a prolonged conflict is one that is open to failure and is one that is open to all kinds of surprises coming out of the blue from the opposition. Gives the enemy more time to brew up evil schemes, like the much talked about possible dirty bomb, or an attack on the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. So my take on it as a warrior and as a spiritual person is get the shit over with. Get it over with. Get it done. Get it over with. And if one of the byproducts of that is the West eating crow with its its hegemony and its exceptionalism, okay, causing terroristic acts all around the world, if it happens that a byproduct of the taking of Ukraine by Russia is a slap in the face and a change of, let's say, conditions in the world, more freedom from overlords, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So anyway, that's my take. Just thought I would give you some of the new intel, and I'll keep you posted on this. It's kind of fun for me. I mean, this is kind of going back to my roots as just telling people, keeping people informed about the machinations of what's going on around the world and the gravity of it and all that kind of stuff. But I'll keep you posted on it, I'll be doing other things too. Like I said, I think I'm going to do a thing on mudras, which are hand yoga, the yoga of the hand, to help some of my listeners that have put faith in the Raising of the Consciousness series, help them along that road and try to keep things on an even keel, not going off too much in one direction as far as what's going on in the world, and still being able to keep a grasp on your spirituality. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Namaste.